My name is Meg Martin. I am the Director of Integrative Services for Interfaith Works. I am here again for Lean In Olympia, our monthly show that features conversations at the crossroads of humanity, justice, and belief. And if you want to check out any past episodes or stay up to date with the work that we're doing, you can visit our website. It's newly remodeled website. We're excited about it. Interfaith-works.org. Or you can check out our Interfaith Works Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and you can find audio recordings of all of our podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. So you can find us lots of places. We've got a ton going on in the community, and we are super happy to be back in a regular cycle with you as we move into the fall. So today I am super excited to welcome a very special guest with us today, the president of the Sandy's Flats Resident Council, Rio Stevensen. Hi.
Hi. Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about Rio today, but the reason that we have Rio here is to talk about his experience living in Olympia, accessing services with Interfaith Works, being a resident at Sandy's Flats, which, as many of you may know, is our newest development that we have here in Olympia. It's a 26-unit permanent supportive housing building that is in the old Golden Gavel Olympia Inn. And we just, on 9th and Capitol, and we just recently painted over the infamous maroon doors. So if you haven't driven by in a little while, there is fresh door paint that all the residents got to pick what colors they wanted. And so it's got, how would you describe it? Like, it's kind of like Miami Vice in Olympia.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, with a splash of Punky Brewster.
With a splash, yeah, exactly. A splash of Punky Brewster. That's perfect. That's kind of like the interfaith vibe a little bit. So Rio, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate your time and your energy. Can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. A little bit about myself. I can tell you is that I'm a better man today than I was yesterday. And strive to continue to do so day in and day out.
Yeah.
And
I really see that in you. I feel like you really walk through the world in that way.
Yeah. I try to. And I've had a good life, exciting life.
Where'd you grow up?
For the most part, I grew up around the area here in Olympia. Born in Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I was born in Berlin.
So was my dad.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm a brat. So, and then came over here and stationed at Fort Lewis.
Okay.
And then from there, moved down to Olympia and bounced around several schools in the area. And then ended up going to high school at Timberline and graduating from Timberline. Played football and baseball and coached baseball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before I graduated.
What position did you play in baseball?
Baseball, I was left field.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about in football?
I was defensive end and offensive tackle.
Okay. I'm gonna nod as if I know what you're talking about with that.
Generally speaking, so if you watch football at all, you know the big boys on the line. Yeah, that's where I was.
Big boy on the line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only
got
I was
it.
a little
check.
guy. Yeah. I was
cool.
I was a little guy though. In comparison to the size of my teammates in that position, but I earned my position there. Started JV, second string varsity, and
awesome.
ended up blowing out my shoulder in junior year, and so I had to take a break from football. But great times.
Yeah. So can you share a little bit about your journey, as much as you're comfortable, and you don't have to go into any details that you're not, but just share a little bit about your journey with Interfaith Works up to this point. Like, how did you hear about us? When did you get connected to our services? Like, what is that story?
Well, at the time COVID hit, I had fell into unstable housing options, and so I was couch surfing at times, and then did what I needed to do. Ended up in a couple other camps, and through that process, though, utilized the options and opportunities that were there to try to move forward in a more positive manner and get out of the situation and get back to where I had been prior, having my own place, thing like that. Still working off and on, and ended up getting in touch with a caseworker through Only Maps, I believe, and I was supposed to be at the Maple Court, and that had fell through due to some medical conditions I had, and I ended up in the hospital, and they came to move me over to the court, so I lost my spot there.
Oh, okay.
And so from that, though, Only Maps got in contact with me and let me know there was a shelter, and it had a dorm setup type atmosphere with a community kitchen, and they let me know that there was a bed open if I wanted to take that option. And given the situation, I figured that would be the best way to go about getting the process started for me to be able to make my way back to having my own, And so at that time, I said okay to, taking the bed.
How were you feeling about the shelter as an option at that point? Were you kind of like, oh, I don't know about this? Or were you?
Yeah, I was hesitant. It was because I was in a place where I had never foreseen myself being, and and knew I was in a place where I didn't want to continue being, and recognized that though I didn't like my choices and options at that point, the choices and options I had were what was there for me to be able to move forward. So that being said, the opportunity arose for me to be able to take advantage of that, and so I understood that, and took a chance and signed up, and it worked out in my favor this time that I actually got into the shelter, and it was different. I had never been in that position before, and so definitely opened my eyes, but I just embraced it and continued to look for the opportunities that would be there for me to continue to get past that part. I knew that I was grateful for the opportunity to have a roof over my head and things of that nature and the services that were there for me. I also knew that being at the shelter wasn't for me.
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot about how, like, we built that shelter to try to make it the nicest, like, best shelter you possibly could think of, really, like for a congregate setting, but that no matter what sucks to live in a shelter. It's really, really hard. Like, even we've got a nice one. We've got a lot to offer with our shelter, but
absolutely,
regardless of all of that, it's not an easy place to be always. And it's not easy to live in a dorm with 9 other guys that you never met before,
Right.
or that you don't know who they are. Or, and so I get that, like, that it can be a mixed bag where you're like, and that's how I feel about us as being able to provide it, is like,
Right.
I'm so grateful that we get to get people out of the cold and into beds and all that. But at the same time, I know that it's not easy, and it's not ideal. And it's, there's a lot of challenges there too. Yeah.
Right.
So I want to just go back a little bit for folks that are listening or watching that. And just to clarify that your process that you're talking about was also part of what was at that time called the Governor's Right-of-Way Initiative, which is now called the Encampment Resolution, ERP, I forget. But we've talked about that a little bit on this podcast before, that the governor put, Governor Inslee, the previous governor, put a lot of targeted funding towards the resolution or closing of specific encampments that were on state right-of-ways. And so in our community, that was the encampment that was visible near the Hobby Lobby on Sleater-Kinney. That was also the Deschutes River Parkway encampment.
Ensign.
Which one?
Ensign.
The Ensign Road was part of it, but some of them were technically the right of way, some of them weren't. It was just kind of like a confusing time. But basically the point was that they were putting targeted dollars towards helping people get connected to housing and shelter resources to give people a choice of some kind of option before closing the encampment. And so your first option that you were given was Maple Court, which is a hotel converted shelter in Lacey that is operated by the Low Income Housing Institute, Lehigh. And then you were saying that you were in the hospital when that offer came through. And so then you were offered a spot at our shelter, the Unity Commons shelter that's operated by Interfaith Works on the bottom floor of Unity Commons. So do you remember how long you stayed there? I should probably know that, but I don't remember.
Just shy of a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had got in there and made it up after being there about a day or two and conversing with some of the other patrons there and seeing and hearing how long some had been there prior to me showing up and everything like that. Came to a quick realization and decision that I needed to do everything I needed to do to be able to get out of there as quickly as possible and on to the next phase of moving forward and everything. And that being said, I started working diligently with staff and getting in touch with the navigation team that you guys have in place, and working closely with them to get my housing in order and get
like the documents that you needed and things like that.
Right. It was all new to me. I've never had to really utilize government assistance at that level. You know, I'd occasionally had an EBT card, but prior to that, I've always worked and always managed to have had a place to live or whatnot, whether it be with roommates or a girlfriend or things like that. So, you know, being at the shelter definitely was a different way of me having to live and move forward from.
Yeah.
You know, and to really have to go through that solo for the most part, you know, until Jax came into the picture, you know, a couple of months.
Who's Jax? Tell us about Jax.
Jax is my right hand. That's my guy. That's my dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my
Jax is a bit of a celebrity around Interfaith work. It's very
cute. Yeah. He definitely fell into his own role there, and with Interfaith Works. And
you got Jax when you were at the shelter.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was about 8 months old, and prior to him being at the shelter, he was at a family's house that I would stay at sometimes and everything like that. And it was him and 5 other dogs or so. And it was, so he was young, but he got to play with the other dogs, different sizes and everything like that, And so he's well-rounded in that aspect. And, they were loving and everything. And me and him just had a connection from day one. And so started off with me just taking him for walks and stuff like that. And then as time went on, they realized the connection with me and him, and said, if he wanted to take him, I could, because I was looking for a dog anyway. It'd been a while since I had a dog, since my first one. And so I was ready for another one. And me and Jax, like I said, we clicked. So it worked out in my favor, and he started coming with me to the shelter, and he hasn't left my side since. And we're pretty good with each other. He's my emotional support animal as well.
Totally.
My doctor signed off on him being that, and so I'm grateful for that. Grateful for him, and definitely he's helped me get through situations that allowed me to be here today. So
for sure, yeah. So then after about a year, just shy of a year, and working with the navigation team to get kind of your ducks in a row, then you were part of the first wave of people to move into Sandy's when all that construction finished and we were getting folks moved in, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what did that feel like, I guess? Was that sort of a similar thing where, that's okay. Where you just knew that was the opportunity that you needed to take, or?
That, and, that's the opportunity I needed to take, and that's pretty much the opportunity that was available at the time. Unfortunately, during the course of that time and waiting to move, toward the end of my stay at the Commons, there was a fire. I don't know if you remember. There was a fire and stuff, and so there was a lot of damage to the dorms and stuff, and so we had to stay outside, and during the course of that, the apartments came available, ready for us to be able to move in. So the timing just kind of worked out, as you can say, in that aspect.
Yeah.
And so, I jumped on that opportunity, and though I was grateful for the shelter, like I said, I knew there was more for me to be doing, and other places for me to be. Totally. And so took advantage of the opportunity to be able to move into an apartment at Sandy Flats, and Jax was cool with going, so we packed up stuff, and me, Jax, and a guitar, and we
headed over.
Yeah.
And then part of something I'm not sure most folks in the community know is that part of Sandy's, like the programming, I guess, that's available there, is that there's a resident council, and the resident council, well, I'll let you talk about it. You're the president. But yeah, tell us a little bit about being on the council, and what role does the council have? What kind of stuff do you guys do? What's that been like?
I feel it's a great opportunity and a much needed aspect in the program that we got going on.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that if through working together with staff to furthermore build a stronger foundation, not only for the residents there, but just to help build a stronger foundation for Interfaith as a whole and
Mm-hmm.
with what they're trying to do. And from there, just provide a more positive way for the interaction to happen and for others in our position to be able to see and have a way to be able to voice their opinion and be able to utilize that as another way to move forward in a more positive way, maybe see other options that, being in our type of situation and in our group, it's options are there, but they're not necessarily there. It's very slim, and then, um, it's met with not everybody is as enthusiastic to move forward, let alone are we always received enthusiastically when we do try to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So it provides, another avenue for us to be able to access and try to, do something to better ourselves and better not just ourselves individually, but ourselves as a community and as a part of the community, and show that we're not just addicts and that we're not just people who don't believe anything or just lost their way or whatever stereotypes may be on the negative. There's more to this group of people than that, and we have a voice too.
Totally.
And so
you also make some pretty good pancakes, I hear, for the Friday pancake breakfast hosted by the council as well.
Yeah.
Is that still going on?
Yes. I'm
cool.
Happy and proud to say that the pancake breakfast on Fridays has been one of the more successful events and things I've had an opportunity to work with staff and putting together and initiating and have going on. And the residents have really taken to it.
Totally.
And
yeah, I just see it like creating a sense of community, not just the pancake breakfast, but like the council format in general, like sense of community. I've, at your meetings, you all have talked about like safety issues or things like, I think a lot of times when our community is having conversations about like homelessness or affordable housing, buildings or whatever, it's often a like, I think there's this like divide of the community wants this for the neighborhood or whatever. And it's interesting because at the council meetings, like a lot of what you all are talking about at the council meetings could be very similar to what you might hear at a broader neighborhood meeting for Sandy's. Like you want safety, you want the trash picked up, you want a sense of community and belonging for the residents at Sandy's. And I think that the council has been a really cool way for you all to be able to like voice that to each other, to our staff. And then, like you said, provide feedback to us about what we can do better and what's working and what's not working. And I think that, would you say that some of that feedback's been incorporated? Like, and of course we're not perfect and there's always better that we can do, but.
Right. And, and only with time and the willingness to work together will, things continue to progress in a more positive manner.
Totally.
And, I full-heartedly believe, in the program and the opportunities that can stem from that. And, being on council, I feel it's something needed and beneficial, and I feel proud to be able to represent in a position like that, and sort of, in some ways, I guess, be another avenue or voice for, you know, some of the residents and just in our situation,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I try my best to uphold the position and go at it with that sense of responsibility and advocate to the best of my ability the concerns and
Mm-hmm.
wants of residents and the feelings of residents, and and try to uphold a certain level of just respect and um, of carrying myself in that way,
Yeah.
to be able to have a voice to be heard, and you know, um, try to work with you guys to put further things in place that'll help everybody grow for the better and be recognized as being worth the attention and the time and the efforts that have been made to and in place for us to take advantage of and move forward with.
Totally. As you're talking, like, I'm curious because I grew up playing sports too. Like, you just are drawn to leadership positions, I feel like, and do you feel like what is that like root for you? Is it organized sports, or is it like
Um,
is that like a role you played in your family growing up, or like what is that?
I guess it stems partially from me just being stubborn. you know,
Yeah, I love
and
that. I think I have a little bit of that too.
and wanting to. I've always done things kind of my way.
Yeah.
And I've never really fit in anywhere, so to speak, because in any one box or any one area, or
Yeah.
I've allowed myself to be open to experience the world and its differences, and that my path, to do what my heart desires or what I feel, and if it's something I want to do, go about it and do what I can to achieve that and make it happen. And for the most part, I've been fortunate enough, even with struggles, to achieve a good percentage of the goals and stuff I've set out to do, or
Yeah.
overcome obstacles or odds that have come my way. And by any means, road's been tough, but
Yeah.
they say anything worth having is, you know, kind of tough. So
Do you know what your sign is?
yeah,
What is it?
I'm a Taurus.
You're a Taurus. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not like huge into astrology
Mhm.
stuff, but I was like, you're an earth sign for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a Capricorn, so
Okay.
I see you. What do you feel? You spoke to this a little bit when you were talking about the council more, but what would you? Well, okay. Side note too. I know that you and another resident at Sandy's have riffed a little bit about starting a podcast together that would be, if I understand the concept correctly, just a little bit about like downtown and people downtown and folks that are experiencing homelessness and just kind of like the community a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like what things come to mind that you would most want the community to know about people who are experiencing homelessness?
That it doesn't discriminate at all. It's fair game for it to happen to anybody from any level in life,
Yeah.
and that's what the homeless community consists of in a lot of ways,
Yeah. Is that part of what you mean by you had your eyes opened when you were at the shelter? Like just seeing all the different types of people that were there, or?
Well, that and just the function of things, you know, and my eyes were open just on what options there were, and then the process about going through those options, and then with some of the experiences I've had having to go through those, take those options.
Totally.
You know, pluses with the minuses, and you know, I definitely had to reflect upon myself and dig within myself to either lay down and, you know, just be content with where I was, or get up and live and, you know,
totally
take the steps and do what needed to be done to go where I was trying to go. And so, you know, no matter at the end of the day what's there in place of you and how hard it is, if you don't do it, then you don't do it.
Yeah. What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions about people living on the streets and in shelters, or?
That we're not worth being recognized as people and humans, and deserving of living just as equally and peacefully and happily as the next man. And that you know, nobody's better than the next man. You know, doesn't matter, you know, if you got 10 cars, 5 houses, or if you are sleeping underneath a bridge, you know. And that we're just as important and just as human as the next person. And that you know, we like it or not, we are here, you know, and yeah, deserve to be recognized as so.
Yeah.
And at any given moment, you could be where we are or were, and that a lot of us do have fight in us still, and a lot of us are trying to figure it out and find our way, just like the next man, you know, and you know, nobody knows the struggle of the next person and how difficult it is for that person, and you know what they have to go through to maintain where they're at or get through where they're at. And just believe that if people can recognize that and keep that in mind too, then it shouldn't be so hard to, instead of look down at us and as a problem that deserves negative response, instead of that a positive response and interaction, and maybe if working more so in a more positive manner with us versus against us.
Yeah.
And viewing us as an equal in that aspect, maybe then the tide can change. If you know, people tend to open up their eyes, hearts, and minds a little more, and be willing to put forth that effort like they would for somebody that they feel is in a worthy position of that,
Totally. That is like really just resonates so much with things I've said on here a lot before, but is just like so reinforced by your realness right now. Is like, there used to be this person in town that had a van, and they, in their back window, they had a sign that said, don't judge me by the chapter you dropped in on. And I think about that all the time, of just like how much of a story gets like built in the community's mind about who a person is or what they are or whatever, just based on driving by and seeing them, or like the things that people would say about the encampments that literally you were living in, and like the things that they would say about what those encampments were, who was living in there. And it's like, it was you. Like this amazing person sitting right next to me who grew up here, who went to high school here, who has been a part of our community for your whole life, like who is from a veteran family, who's like, like it's just, I just couldn't agree more that we're not going to change the tide, exactly what you said, until there's some kind of realization that, like a collective realization that people's lives are worth it. And I just could not agree more. So, Rio, we end all of our episodes by asking our guests what hope means to them. We do this as a way to we're trying to create kind of a network of definitions and visions in our community of what hope looks like and how we can kind of build that collectively. So what does hope mean to you?
That as long as I'm breathing, I'm believing.
Yeah.
My higher power believed in me enough to wake me up this morning. The least I could do is show up.
Totally. Just like one step in front of the other.
Yeah. And believing that if I do make an effort to do something versus nothing, then whether my efforts are met and received with success to progress things to a better place, or whether they're stopped dead in their tracks, I can live with that, but I can't live with sitting back and just watching things and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's not who I am. That's not how I was raised. It's not who I tried to be. So,
Cool. Well, Rio, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
For spending it with us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you know anybody that missed this episode, you can always view past episodes on YouTube, on our website, interfaith-works.org. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment to join the conversation, send us ideas for topics. Huge thanks to Rio. Thank you so much. Shout out to Sky Bear for having us. And we've got a lot of upcoming events for the fall and the winter. So please do stay in touch, and we will see you next time.